So today the speaker is Shankar for the Earth System project, and I already passed the word to him. The webinar of today worked like the webinar of yesterday. There was at the beginning a presentation about the proposal of the Earth System project in the online format. Then will follow a discussion, and it's possible to make a question directly or also in the chat. If someone has some difficulty for microphone, whatever, can use the chat, and we will keep giving a look also to the chat. And we try to keep the meeting of today not more than 2 hours or 1 hour and a half. This is the time that we think for the meeting of yesterday, today, and also tomorrow. So please, Shankar.
Thank you, Roberto, for your words of introduction for this webinar. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, my dear friends. It's wonderful to see all of you virtually because of the pandemic situation across the world. Although it's different times in different parts of the world for all of you, one thing is common, it's a new year for all of us. Let me offer my greetings to all of you for a happy and safe New Year 2021. A workshop on Earth System project was long overdue because during the many IESOs that I have seen, mentors and students had problems understanding the concept of ESP, that is Earth System project, and also ITFI, the International Team Field Investigation. So I'm glad that we are having an opportunity to discuss these ideas, these activities today for ESP and tomorrow for ITFI or NTFI. I'm fine, if you ask questions even while I'm speaking, no problem, because I'm used to this. You're also welcome to ask questions at the very end, also later in the fourth webinar. So anything is fine with me. So let me share my screen with you and then I'll show you this PowerPoint presentation. Can all of you see the screen, friends?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Now this whole webinar is about Earth System project. Basically, I'll be speaking about what this project is and why we introduced this project in IESO several years ago. And in this webinar, I'll first talk about the importance of teamwork and cooperation among students, which is very important. Second, we will see what exactly is an Earth System project. Then how is it carried out? And then how and who will evaluate the ESP? And who will carry out the ESP, that is students? What sort of team arrangement? And finally, what awards are planned? Friends, teamwork and cooperation is very important, particularly in today's context and in the future. IESO is not only concerned with competition tests, but it also has certain very important objectives, lofty objectives, like promoting international cooperation among students from different countries. Another objective is to build bridges of friendship among these young learners from across the world. We are very proud and glad to note that there is no other science Olympiad which has this feature which is the cooperative activities. Therefore, IESO is so unique. We have two cooperative activities, the international team field investigation, that will be taken up tomorrow. And second activity is the Earth System project, which I'll be talking about in the next 45 minutes or so. The essence of all this is cooperation. Why is it essential? Because students from different nationalities with diverse cultures and varied backgrounds, varied levels of socio-economic development come to IESO. They come together and they work together as a team. And that is the beauty of this whole thing. And I would like to emphasize that this is important because major strides in research are possible only with the cooperation and involvement of scientists from different disciplines, from different nations, and from different institutions. So it's multinational, multi-institutional, and interdisciplinary. Gone are the days when individual scientists were able to bring out fantastic innovations and discoveries, but today it's not possible. So working together is the mantra. Now let's see what exactly is an Earth System project. Many of us think that Earth science concerns only the solid Earth. But is that so? No. Earth science is no longer considered to deal only with the solid Earth, but it involves all of the spheres, the lithosphere or the geosphere, the biosphere, including the humans, the cryosphere, the ice bodies and snow, everything, atmosphere, and the hydrosphere. So all of these are part of one big system called the Earth system. I'm sure many of us did not realize these interconnections and facts when we were kids, when we were children or students of IESO participants' age. And there is continuous interaction among all of these spheres. There is also a continuous exchange of energy and matter amongst the subsystems or spheres. This is the whole point behind Earth system science. But what happens is, humans, particularly since the onset of the Industrial Revolution in the 1850s, our activities have multiplied manifold, that, our activities have disturbed the equilibrium that existed among the different spheres. And this has led to environmental problems like global warming, increased frequency and intensity of floods, droughts, sea level rise, and a whole lot of problems. And all of this has led to catastrophes for humans. Why did all this happen? Because we disturbed the natural equilibrium. So what we gave, he is coming back to us maybe after a few decades or a few centuries. So the ESP's aim is to create awareness of Earth system science and all its ramifications for school students at a young age. The opportunity that we did not get, we would like to give to the young kids when they come to IESO. So that, when they grow up with the realization that the Earth is one system, and whatever we do to the system, to the subsystems, will have an impact on us sometime later. Now, how exactly is an Earth system project carried out? Usually the ESP topic is an Earth system phenomenon. An Earth system phenomenon that is related to IESO hosting country or that region. A phenomenon that has connections with several subsystems, not just one or two, but as many subsystems as possible. And this phenomenon has significant environmental effects. And also it has adverse impacts on human beings and our economy. So what do? We give a topic, ESP topic to the students, and they research this topic on the internet. They collect data, whatever data are relevant to the ESP topic. They analyze the data that they collect, and they make connections with different Earth subsystems. This is very important. It's not analyzing the data, but making connections. And we want kids to do these connections when they are children, when they're young. And then they also explore human interferences and how these interferences have led to imbalances and certain environmental problems, and how they have boomeranged on us. All this may appear a little abstract to you, but let me demonstrate an Earth system project with two examples. Example one is the Indian monsoon or the Southwest monsoon. And this was the maiden ESP topic in the IESO organized in India in 2013.
还没有传过去。
And this is influenced by the sun. Monsoon is lifeline for farmers because Indian agriculture heavily depends on monsoon. So much so that many economists say that the Indian agriculture is a gamble with the monsoon. It has a very significant impact on the Indian economy because agriculture is a major activity of people in India and the Indian subcontinent. Too little or too much rainfall can create havoc. Too much rainfall will produce floods, too little droughts. We have problems like waterlogging, loss of human lives, crop failure, and impact on economy. Now in this ESP, students were expected to bring out several aspects in their project work. Number one, they must emphasize that the sun differently heats the Indian landmass and the Indian Ocean. Now, please note, my friends, that there is transfer of energy involved here. There is the geosphere involved here and the hydrosphere. I'm not going to explain the entire mechanism of how monsoon happens over the Indian subcontinent. That's not the scope of my presentation, but I would like to emphasize the Earth system feature in this whole project. So they are supposed to bring out the fact that moisture-laden winds from the southwest bring rainfall over the Indian subcontinent. And here you see the involvement of atmosphere, and there is transfer of mass from the hydrosphere to the geosphere and biosphere. And the third point that they have to bring out is, monsoon helps in agriculture, it helps in groundwater recharge, and it ensures the well-being of people. So again, here you can see that the biosphere and hydrosphere are intimately connected with the Earth system phenomenon. the monsoon. As I mentioned earlier, the sun is the central force that governs the monsoon. They also should bring out other effects like the El Nino. Whenever there is El Nino, it impacts the Indian monsoon and therefore the Indian agriculture as well. Example number 2, land subsidence in Bangkok. This is what the ESP topic was when we had the Ieso in Thailand. This topic embraces the geosphere, the hydrosphere, and the biosphere. Bangkok city has a population of more than 20 million. And the population has been increasing ever since. And the increase in population has led to excessive pumping of groundwater from 8 sand aquifers for domestic consumption. And you can see the involvement of the hydrosphere, geosphere, and biosphere in this ESP project. That graph demonstrates how the groundwater usage has shot up over the years. Excessive pumping of groundwater has led to extensive land subsidence. In fact, the subsidence is so severe that parts of the Bangkok city lie below the sea level. And this demonstrates how there is subsidence at the rate of 6 to 100 millimeters per year, coupled with sea level rise of 3 to 10 millimeters per year. So it's a double whammy. Yeah. And Bangkok has had severe problems because of land subsidence. See that? And that. Also, when this happens, there is seawater intrusion or incursion into freshwater aquifer, and that has its own problems. Salinization of inland areas. This is all because Bangkok is sitting on a clayey bed, which is about 10 to 30 meters thick, and it is ideal to produce landslides when we overexploit groundwater. Now, Bangkok Municipal Corporation has brought in some laws, municipal laws, which control, with which they've been able to build embankments on the sides of the river, and new houses have been mandated to take certain precautionary measures so that subsidence is minimized. So those are preventive measures, and students are expected to bring out all of the aspects that I mentioned till now. So friends, as you've seen, all of the 3 spheres are involved here, and this is what the students will gain from this exercise. Along with understanding the Earth system concept, they also develop within them scientific skills. Scientific skills like data collection. I mentioned all this, but would like to re-emphasize the point. How to analyze the data and how to reason out. And it involves Earth system thinking and communication and collaboration. These are 2 very important skills that are very necessary for scientists. Communication of thoughts, communication of ideas are very important. And collaboration, as I mentioned earlier, is crucial for scientific research. And of course, oral and written presentation of the research results are also important. You can see how badly I'm talking, so I need skills to put forth my ideas in a most effective manner. So all of these are skills that are needed for a good scientist to carry out meaningful research and to present the results of those research investigations. And we are giving an opportunity to our kids to learn all of these skills. ESP helps hone these skills at a young age. Typically, teams of students prepare posters. So this time they're going to prepare a soft copy of the poster wherein they will show their results of their project. Personally, I would like the team to spell out the ESP topic first, then the names of the team members, and then they should provide an account of the processes involved, an account of the Earth system interactions. What exactly did they learn? How many systems, how many subsystems are involved in this phenomenon, and how transfer of energy, transfer of matter took place. And what is its impact on the biosphere, including humans? And if there are any remedial measures that are possible, all these should form significant components of the poster. Now, the posters will be evaluated by an international jury. And how will they evaluate? They virtually interact with the team members, and they will virtually evaluate the poster using a rubric available at blah, blah, blah. That is the ISO website, iso-info.org/statutes. And there'll be awards, trophies, the gold, silver, and bronze research project team awards. Dear mentors, explain the ESP concept to your students. Let them bond and become friends, enjoy the teamwork, appreciate the concept of Earth system. And I wish all of them all the very best. Before I end my presentation, I'd like to say that we prefer a team of 4 students, not more than 4, for ESP project. Whether you want to have the same team for both ESP as well as NTFI is up to you. And I hope that this presentation helped you to prepare your own ESP teams. If there are any questions, I'll be glad to answer them now. And as I mentioned earlier, I emailed a PDF file of my write-up on ESP to Roberto, and he will certainly share the file with all of you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Shankar. And well, the file with this proposal is already have been sent to all the ISO mentor.
Excellent.
And yes, and this proposal just arrived also to the examination board right now, so was not discussed among the examination board. And Shankar speak as it is all decided, but it's not the case. It's still all open. The Earth system project, the Earth system.
I stand corrected. Whatever is not decided by the board, I stand corrected to that extent. Yeah.
So we have the main rule about Earth system project that is in the Ieso statute. And then we have this proposal for move to the online format. So there is some aspect that we have to change, probably not a lot. Probably it will be the activity that remain more near to the presential format. The only difference is that student, international student, group of 6-8 students from different countries, don't meet presential in a room, but they will meet online with Zoom or other platform that we will make available for them. And so there are several proposals about how to manage it and so on. So please, if you have comments, suggestions, now is open to everybody to speak.
Can I ask a question, please? Shankar, why do you recommend 4 students on an ESP team?
Good question. The idea is that if you have less number of students, they will involve themselves. But if you had more students on the other hand, a large number, not all may actively involve, but this is debatable. This is what we felt.
Having 4 students also means a significantly longer time for a jury to evaluate, because that means there will be many more teams. So that's one of the trade-offs.
Thanks, Tom.
Could I ask a clarification, please?
Sure.
Shankar and the document seem to suggest that the ESP team would be not international, just national. But Roberto, you just said it would be more like the actual international ESP. So can I have clarification? Are you talking about having ESP solely from national groups, or are we talking about international shared collaboration?
National groups, I think.
So what, there'd be an Australian team?
Frankly speaking, I think right now it is national team for ESP, but I was thinking, this is a suggestion to the examination board, that because it's all virtual, this ESP, it is also possible to have an international team for ESP, like 4 students sitting in different parts of a country working together. Instead of that, you can have 4 students from different countries working together. Only problem is different times.
Yeah.
But we can discuss that.
Okay, so I'm still not clear. What's the proposal? Is this a proposal, or is this how the IESO wants to proceed? I'm still not sure. Ordinarily, an ESP is an international group of students, and now you're saying you're proposing it should be just a national group. In the Australian context, my students won't be together in the same state even, and they might be 3 hours apart in time zones. So it makes no difference whether it's a national or international team from our perspective.
Well, I think we can move on, but please tell your opinion. But I think it's pretty feasible to have an international team with the Earth System project, because I don't see any technical difficulty on that, and will be the only occasion for students to could interact cooperatively internationally. And this is what we are discussing, if I well remember, also in the examination board. The discussion of the examination board was about to have international team in Earth System project and national team on the international field investigation, for obvious reason, because people could not travel, and maybe will be also a challenge if at the national level. But this will be discussed more deeper tomorrow. So the focus today is Earth System project. Please, we can continue.
Roberto, there are some nice comments, in the chat box. We can have a look at it later. Yeah.
So I recommend we should have an international team for ESP. So students from different countries can have a good cooperation and can work together. We don't need to expect an extreme result. The main point is the cooperation, the friendship, they work together.
Yes, if I can take, I think it's the right balance is to have a ESP for with international team, because the data mining tests, it will be alone, yes. The NTFI will be at the national level, so that means that ESP can be at the international levels. Let's make a nice balance between activities alone till the activities in cooperation, international cooperation. So ESP, it's okay in international level. Of course, the topic will be general, maybe, and about the Earth system. So it's okay that people can share at the international level the topic. For the field investigation, it will be not possible, and so the national level must be reserved for the investigation on the field. But Nir will speak about this tomorrow, I guess.
Does everyone need to do the same ESP, or is it possible to have multiple ESP topics and let students have some choice in which ESP they would like to do?
I think it's a good idea to have different projects, and why not?
The reason I'm proposing different topics is over the last decade, I've been looking at where our students go at university. And most of them do not go into the earth sciences. Many of them go into engineering or biomedical work. So if we really want students to engage personally in the ESP, this is a chance to give them topics. This last year for my own national students, and we also had some international team cooperation, one of the topics was the human health impacts of climate change, which then a lot of kids that want to go into a biomedical field were very interested in that. Another was earthquake mitigation, and students that are interested in civil engineering were drawn to that topic. And it's very easy to give our students topic choices as long as the topic choices have an international appeal. You know, sea level rise impacts many, many countries on the planet. So as long as we select topics and create topics that have an international impact on human beings through the biosphere and the Earth systems, I think it makes it much more attractive for the students to be able to select. It has one other impact. When the students use their participation in the IESO to apply to university, and they're applying to university in engineering or biomedical, and they say, well, this is what I did with the international team, that has much more meaning to a university. Wow, this kid has done something on an international collaboration around a topic that is meaningful to their future career at university.
I think it's a very good idea, and it also might solve a problem of, instead of selecting the group, we'll give them a list of topics, and they will be selected themselves or assign themselves to the topic that interests them. And by then we can, but then we'll have another problem of
Time zones.
the time zone. But you know, kids it's not a problem for them to stay till night, and it's not so, but it's very nice idea. Yes, it's a,
last year, because there was no IESO, myself and some of my former students put together a international earth science symposium. And I think we had about 10 countries participate all over the world. And what we let the students select their own vehicle of communication with each other. So some of them use Zoom, some of them use WhatsApp. You know, there are different platforms. And the communication really wasn't that much of a problem, especially if we have about 6 students. They really can be from all over the world, and they can work collaboratively. Because of that issue, and also because of COVID and the connectivity issues, I recommend we allow more time for the students to work. We don't try to cram it into 2 or 3 days. There's no reason, because we're not getting together physically, to have a longer window of time to allow them to communicate and work on this project.
And also about time zones, if we provide a list of 3 or 4 topics only, there'll be more than one group for every topic, so it allows them some flexibility. We can maybe try to arrange some groups more closer to time zones.
Thanks. Any other suggestions?
So we agree about, well, the proposal is we propose a list of topic, and the student choose the topic where they want to make the ESP, and after the teams are built with this choice, right?
Yes, what we did, we had students select first choice and second choice of topic.
Yeah.
And we tried to give them their first choice.
And then we try to make the team according the choice of the topic. And
Roberto, I have a question.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sir, how would you select the international team of students? Time zone wise, or hemisphere wise?
The idea when we have a choice of a student, topic by topic, we can manage to make the international team as we can. The time zone will be one element of a decision to make a team.
And another question is, we should have number of teams selecting one particular topic. Number of teams, 2-3 teams selecting one particular topic, so that they can be evaluated.
Well, usually, maybe Tom can answer to this question, but usually, as I remember, for the evaluation, it will be difficult, I think. It's more the intensity of the cooperation and the presentation that was more evaluated than the topic himself.
Yeah. But then if we have about 37-40 countries participating, then how many topics you would have?
I recommend we start with 3 or 4 topics.
Yes.
And it really does not matter for evaluation. If we have a good rubric, if we have a good framing of the ESP problem, then it becomes very open-ended. So the expectation is that every student team will approach it quite differently based upon their own community and national perspective on that problem. And that's what we want. So I think as long as we have a good rubric, it doesn't matter if how many students select which problem.
Okay.
But by giving them the selection, that's the most important thing, not limiting what they want to do.
Okay, thank you.
Mary, you have a question?
Yes, I agree, because if that's the case, I would suggest we should assemble the international team first, and then let the kids to decide. They can discuss and decide which one of the topic their team wants to participate and prepare the ESP project to. Then we can assure the international team is equally shared among different nations, rather than, some of the topic would probably draw more interest to the kids and some would not. Yeah, that's my suggestion. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Mary. Yes, this is a risk that could happen, that maybe just 4 students of the same team choose one of the 3 topics. I think there is not a lot of probability that this happen because we will have so many students from all over the world. But technically it could happen. So in that case, what we do, and also I think another reflection is we prefer the student choose the topics and then organize a team. In that way, students will work in a topic that they are more interested. The other path is to lay the team, has to just marry to decide they choose the topic. In that way, we need more time for the group discussion, and could happen that some student inside the group will not like the topic that the rest of the group choose. These are the trade-off in these two situations.
Well, because I'm just thinking of the practical side. If we have like 20 students choose the same topic, how are we going to, is the committee going to divide the 20 students into like 3 teams? Like who decides who goes to what team, even though they all choose the same topic?
It's very easy to choose to divide them up. The goal is to have as much international diversity as possible. So if also, let's say one team has 4 students and another team has 3 students, that really isn't a problem.
Yeah. So after the student choose the topic, we divide them up according to geography, sort of speaking.
Yes, focusing on an international team.
Yeah.
Previous years, sometimes the students weren't very familiar with the rubric. So I think we need to make sure that the rubric is not only a good one for us, but the students know exactly what they're preparing for.
I also recommend a slight change in the format. I recommend we have a poster that the student teams create and a visual presentation where they basically communicate verbally what they've done. I would also recommend a small research paper be attached to it. And the advantage of that is it helps them work internationally. And also it helps us, because then if we have questions, we can also refer to the research paper. The goal is to make the research paper short, but they should in the research paper have a bibliography of what sources they used. The other advantage of the research paper is when they apply to university, they can say, we did a poster, we did a oral presentation, and we did an internationally written paper. And again, for students where English is not their first language, having communication amongst the team, doing a research paper in a way helps them to communicate, creates a framework for their discussions. And the paper should also be focused around the interrelationship between the Earth systems.
About the poster, I think a poster is a good format for a physical meeting. Maybe when a year that we have a virtual Olympiad, we don't need a poster. A presentation might be a better tool, even though that's also what they're going to do in the NSPI.
But we can also imagine what we do in the university now. When you prepare a PhD, you have now some contests where the student must present his PhD in 1 slide and in 2 minutes, Yeah. And I think it's a very nice exercise because the slide is the poster, in fact. It's something like a poster. But I agree with Tom that if this slide is coupled with a little and brief research report, it can be useful for the evaluation team and also for the student because they have to build a text together. And so I think, and a short text, so that means it's a very difficult exercise, making 1 slide for the topic and 1 brief report for the topic. For me, it's a very difficult exercise to propose to the student, but it's a nice exercise to share things together. So it's the meaning of the cooperation and the international team, the international work. So I will be more in favor of 1 slide, so the poster, yes, and leave the presentation for the NTFI test. is my opinion.
One slide like in the AGO meetings in San Francisco, right?
Yeah, something like that, yes. But I agree that online,
it's very challenging, yeah.
Online is not so fun, but a real poster, when you speak around the poster and you show things on the poster, but the slide can be similar online. Well, making all, you have to plot all the things in the same slide is always difficult for everybody and for students, of course. So
and
it's nice.
Yep.
So it's essentially a soft poster.
Yeah, it's a soft
copy of a poster.
If you want to go.
Yeah, and Goda, please you have your hand raised. Goda, you would like to say something?
Yeah, Roberto.
Your microphone is moving.
Yeah. Would you like to involve students from different countries in the teams?
Yes.
Yeah, it's international team.
Yes, it will be international.
In both the projects?
We are talking of the ESP. It will be international. That is what many people felt.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Gordon.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah, Roberto. Yeah, I want to talk something.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I support Thomas because it would be a very good idea, a nice idea to have some short communication types of research article or research write-up, maybe 2 or 3 or even 4 pages maximum. And we should allow students enough time, at least 10 days or a week for this preparation. It would be a nice proposal of Thomas, and I think it would work for the future admission in the universities around the world. Yeah, and the team members should be more than 4, I think, at least 5 or 6. 6 would be nice. It's my proposal. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Janus. Well, the abstract is a small research paper. It could be quite an interesting idea. Also thinking that we can organize all the small research paper like in an abstract book of the Ieso, and this could become a publication that could remain in the curriculum of the student and make it could be something useful for their career. Of course, it involves more work for the organization to prepare the editing of the test and everything. But it's something that we can think about. Please, any other suggestion? And here in the chat, also there is a suggestion from Albert about the presentation of the SP poster to make it like in YouTube, like a small video from the student. Mm-hmm. If you, Albert, you would like to comment something more?
Yeah, thank you. It's, yeah, I got the idea. Why not to organize like a YouTube channel for ISO as well for particular annual kind of competition, and why not to make also kind of movie-like presentation as one of the projects, supporting also the slide, or say one slide is a poster and a short research paper, kind of semi-research paper. And I think that would be valuable also for students who want to go to university and kind of make a first international scientific contribution to themselves, good in CV as well.
Oh, one reason to do a video is not all students may have good Wi-Fi connectivity during an international presentation from many different countries. So if we require them to do a video of their presentation, that means that if a student's internet shuts that down in the middle of their presentation, it won't impact them because they've already put together a 15-minute video of the group presenting their topic.
Today they use the TikTok.
And that way they can dance at the same time.
TikTok is from China.
Yeah, and TikTok is not allowed in
yeah,
this
TikTok
country.
is not allowed. Even in the Bangladesh.
It was a joke.
They can send the video, and the video can be shared by a central Ieso organization.
He's from Portugal.
Not,
He's from
not
Portugal.
I'm not sure how many countries really prepare their students for ESP. Most of the time, many countries, it was a first-time experience at the IESO. So I urge mentors to choose their teams, national teams, as a practice and train them how to do an ESP project. Like how you prepare your students for written test and practical test, why not train them, coach them on how to do an ESP project, why it is done, etc. So they'll be better prepared to do the international ESP.
I agree.
I agree, Shankar.
I agree too.
Yes, just to remember that all the activity that we propose during Ieso, the idea, the final goal is that in the Ieso we test innovative way of teaching earth science, and that this idea were spread all around the world and start to be used inside the school, inside the normal activity of education on earth science.
And also if mentors can spread this message across schools in their country, that'll be nice, because that is our basic purpose of IESO. We consider IESO as a vehicle for transforming and improvising earth science education in schools across the world. So virtual business is helping us in different ways. One is to reach out to more people, more teachers, more students, more schools.
So thanks, Shankar, is something that we can think about how to stimulate this process. And suggestions are welcome also in the next few days. And we will discuss the final proposal then in the fourth webinar. So now is a workspace and a space for discussion, comment, and brainstorming. So please feel free to express yourself.
One more question regarding the total length of ISO, virtual ISO.
He's from Israel.
Was any thought given to that? Any debate going about how long the whole thing should take place?
Because of the work with the ESP, I think it is important to have the total length more than a week to allow students to work together collaboratively on the international projects.
Yeah, and it is possible when we do an online Olympiad, isn't it? There's no problem with that.
There might be, depending on what part of the world you're in.
Yep.
In Australia, for example, students will be in the third term going into their fourth term, so they're coming up against the end of the year exams. So getting too late towards the end of August would be a problem. getting into mid to late September would be a definite problem for some of our students. So there is a time frame consideration.
What's the latest it should be to work for Australian students?
I think it means we need to move the start date towards the middle of August.
Well, we also discussed about that yesterday, and the idea is to have the Ieso in the last 15 days of August. So after the 15th of August, and probably the 3rd of August as final deadline. And but about the duration, about how many days, how long will take the Ieso, we are used in the presential format of Ieso of 8-10 days. In online format, we maintain almost this range of days, and or we think that is too much, is too low, because it's a new format, so we have to think about which format could work better.
I think in the online format, quick analysis seems to be faster to realize, but in fact, I think is a wrong impression, because we have the question of the different time from different teams and different mentors. So probably we will need the same time or more than the presential one, because during the presential one, all the people is there and focus on the operation. Being distributed all over the world, we will have some problems to get together people working in different parts. So probably I think at least the same time could be a good solution.
There will also be the problem of students who are put together in a team who discover that their various personal software and hardware combinations don't work particularly well together. So there'll be extra time involved in sorting out that coordination between themselves as well. So it might be unfair to expect them to very rapidly bring it together, simply because they'll have these extra stresses on them, just problems to solve outside of the ESP problem itself.
When we ran...
Roberto, can I ask a question, please?
Yeah,
Roberto,
sure.
Yeah. The question is that when you have a few days for the presentation of the ESP for the students, the mentors cannot interact, no? Can the mentors interact with the student? No.
No, I don't think so.
If you have long time, if you have given few days for the students to interact, international students to interact, the mentors can the mentors interact with them, or they're allowed to interact with them, or they're not allowed to interact with them?
Well, this is something. I can speak now. Yeah. And well, this is, is something that we have also to discuss what we mean about interact, because I guess that in this online format, there will be quite a lot of technical challenge involved. So, and has I imagine that could happen that student lost the connection, or he don't understand exactly what he have to do, and we don't have, or I don't know, we can think about to have people like we have in the previous Ieso, young people of the organizing country that almost supervise and give a suggestion to the student about what they have to do at what time and whatever. But I think it will be much more complicated. So I think that if a student has some problem, even a basic one, like I don't understand at which time I have to connect, which time there is this activity, or what I have to do about this for be online, or the software is not working, whatever. So I think that for this practical and technical difficult, I think it's more easy for the student to call by telephone or by other means the mentor in order to solve it, to could participate properly. And but this is different from the interaction about how to solve the test or how to prepare the poster, or about how to solve the national team field investigation. So this is something that we have to prepare probably a document when we clearly state which is the interaction that we expect and that are really allowed and recommended, and which are the interactions that are not allowed, not recommended, all based in the trust, because there is no way to control the situation. But at least people already know the code of conduct, so they know, okay, I can do that, so I contact my student. And we avoid that many people make this question during the Ieso that make the things more chaotic. So if all the people know that in advance, make things more easy. And well, a little spoiler about tomorrow, because I think it could help to the discussion of today. And we were debating to have the national team investigation, the international team field investigation, switch to the international format to the national format. So in some way, the national student prepare in advance the presentation. The presentation will not done by international team, by national team. And this work could be done, and we were thinking that it's better that will be done before the Ieso. So it's not necessary that has been done during the Ieso. It could be done 1-2 weeks before. So during the Ieso for the NTFI, the idea is to have only the presentation. That even the presentation will take time, especially if there are many teams, but at least we can save some time for the practical part. This was an idea. Thinking about all the format, I guess that we will have one day for the opening ceremony, one day for the closing ceremony as usual, and at least one day for the test. And we are talking about to have 3 days for the SP preparation. And then we have the national team field investigation presentation and the SP presentation. SP presentation probably will take 1 or 2 days, depending if we can organize many parallel section for the assessment, or it will be the same team that the same group of jury that assess all the group, and the same logic with the NTFI. So thinking in that way, and I guess that we need at least 10 days. I think it's difficult to have even an online edition less than 8 and 10 days. But we can think other solution that we can compact if you think it's important.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Alvaro?
I think the number of days that Roberto has calculated is I think fits very well with the reality, because we are thinking to have international teams, international groups with less number of students. Because I remember sometimes we have 8 or even 9 people in the group. So if we prepare groups only with 6 students, we will have more presentations, and this will take more time to attend to the presentations. So I think 10 days should be a balanced time for the operation. I agree.
Yeah, well, remember, Alvaro, even because for the NTFI, there will be many more teams than usual, because the national team are just for 4 students, and so we welcome. Yeah. If it was last year, there were 43 teams in Korea, so and maybe this year, as is online, maybe we will have more countries that will attend. So maybe there are 50, 60.
And then we should deal also with the question of the zone time. You cannot run the presentations all together, because it will happen overnight in some countries, and so on. So I think we need in between 2 or 3 days for the presentations, ESP and ITF. Yeah.
I would also like to recommend that when students register, when the country registers them as the country's team, at that time we get their choice of ESP. Yeah. So that when students come to the IESO, they already know that which team they're on, and they already have the contact information for their other team members.
Yeah. And we could also have already a schedule for the presentations.
Yes, that would be great.
Yes, this is a really good idea to have all that in advance, because it is reduce the pressure in the organizer during the IESO if we have all that organized previously. Because if you have to do that during the IESO and something delayed, then all the schedule make a mess.
I agree.
Okay.
Okay. See you tomorrow.
Any other suggestion, comments?
Great meeting.
Yep. We can conclude this meeting of today.
Yes, that were very, very great suggestions, and you really advanced us. Thank you.
Thanks for all the suggestions, and I think the examination board will have enough material to discuss and decide and come out with a fresh proposal. Thank you.
Thank you, Shankar.
And bye-bye.
Thank you.
See you tomorrow.
Bye.
See you tomorrow.
Yeah, see you tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
See you
Thank
tomorrow.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
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 Bye. Bye.
Susan, bye.
Okay, good night.
Bye.
I'm going to say something
Dr.
to
Pena.
Bye.
Bye.
Please,
Dr.
Suzanne.
Pena, bye.
How are you?
Bye.
Good night. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Bye, Asbek. Bye-bye.
Roberto?
Hope to see you all in the next
Yes, Susanna, yes.
virtual session again.
I'm very worried about the organization, because experience, as I suppose many of you, when students are at home, they do not work alone. They generally have a family altogether. So we have homework made by mother and father and so on. So we are going to think, if possible, together, all them, maybe where I am in my school, and work. So 10 days organized in this way should be very, very hard. I don't know how other countries could manage about that, but what is in my experience as teacher and then master and so on, is that they cannot be lived, if possible, alone, because they are never alone. Even if they are the most responsible of the world. So what we are going to do is just to ask them to be all together in a school and just one place with one mentor, just checking them if they work by themselves. So according to me, 10 days are really a very long period to manage this situation. I don't know if just for Italy the situation. I just trying to plan an idea, and I find it very complicated. I don't know, maybe it's just for
Suzanne, but Suzanne, this is hello. This is pandemic situation. Will the parents allow the students to stay together?
Yeah.
Will the parents will allow to come together?
In August, we are going to have a sort of bubble, you know, we can do tests for COVID at the beginning and just gather 4 students, not too many. And we can create a bubble. We are at this moment, I am in school with a student. So that
you have to be careful because parents generally don't allow the students to get together.
Not in August. In August, they were last year, they were together. So
okay.
I'm going to see. This is the idea anyway, because when they're at home, they do everything with the parents and friends and all together. I'm a bit worried about the transparency of the work. I mean, I'm a nice student anyway. Well, we can speak about that.
Yeah, we can wait. We can wait and see.
Okay.
Yeah, Susanna. Yeah, first of all,